Welcome to Rauta's Reviews. Today's release is not exactly your typical one, but it's kind of a bizarre even for metal scale. This one is a split release between Right for Revenge from Finland and Below from United States of America. Now, why bizarre, you might be asking, and that is because, well, first of all, Right for Revenge is not exactly the most typical black metal band coming from any place of the world, and Below is not even metal. It's related to that, let's say that much, but not exactly that. Here we have the inlay of this release, which is first time on CD. This was originally released in 2013 on tape and 2015 on vinyl, and now finally on CD 2019 December. Here you can see Red for Revenge lineup image, couple of guys here, and one track, Last Frack for Torment, 20 minutes track. And then we have Below here on the other page with 4 tracks, roughly 23 minutes in total, and it's a one-man project. Later on continued with some different name though. And now we have some interesting inlay here. It says Incubus, Succubus, which are demons of sexual nature, which you are probably already aware of. And the last one here is Vitudus, which could be roughly translated as being pissed off, or the state of being pissed off. And here you have the backside of the release for your viewing pleasure. Released by Bestial Burst, which is also the label for Right for Revenge guy Harold Mender. There's also the interview out there for your viewing pleasure, should you be interested in the guy behind the band, a black metal documentary, and obviously his label. Now, what to tell you about this release beyond this? Well, first of all, Right for Revenge has always been rather experimental in their black metal. That is, since they started in 2001, they have released a bunch of full albums as well as quite a few split releases, and they have been never afraid to go beyond the borders of black metal in their terms of being kind of traditional with their material. That is, very low distorted sound, and by low I mean lo-fi, not low tuned, and also their music is riff-wise somewhat experimental. It's not what your typical black metal could be called, especially if we're talking about Norwegian, Swedish, or even Nordic black metal for that sense. And I think that's what makes Right for Revenge so interesting. They are not afraid to go beyond the borders, kicking down some fences and whatnot, and then just doing their way of extreme metal the way they want to do. That is reflected also with their, say, titles for the releases, and of course how they present those songs. And as such, I think this album totally kind of gives credit for what Right for Revenge is doing. It's not for everybody, obviously. It's more like to kind of underline the fact that what they're doing here, they're just giving a kind of a middle finger, if you will. And I think that's just fantastic work. I wouldn't say they are at their best with this release, not their worst either. But once again, they're just doing what they are doing in their own way, and that's not for everybody. I would say that's not for most people out there, even if they are black metal heads. It's really rough music. It's really kind of a noisy production what they have here, and that being mid-tempo with 20 minutes track, it's kind of like you really have to be kind of open-minded for different kind of music, and then you might be actually enjoying that. Now, when it comes to Below, I don't have the expertise or knowledge to even put it in the right genre. I would say this is, if we could use this triangle here, if this would be metal music and this would be drone and this would be noise, it's somewhere in the middle. So it has all these elements, kind of a distorted guitars, but still not exactly being metal, despite having kind of a black metallic, shriek vocals. And again, it's a little bit noisy, but it's also kind of a droney, being this kind of a hypnotic patterns. Some would say ritual music, and I guess that could be kind of a accurate as well, not just with your typical way of kind of a trance music. So obviously you have to understand that this is kind of a noisy, kind of a metallic, but still not what would be called rock and roll related metal music. So kind of a different output. And in my opinion, if I was to pick up the winner on this album, I would say obviously Ride for Revenge. That is more approachable for me because of my musical taste and how I think they are creating their music. Below is definitely interesting, but I think it's a way more marginal than for Ride for Revenge, which is then again also kind of a marginal band, even in the terms of underground black metal. So this is for fanatics only, not for everybody. I think you should be totally checking out some samples. I don't know if Below samples are actually out there online, but you can pretty much probably figure that out. Anyway, there are lots of samples on Ride for Revenge Bandcamp page when you're into Ride for Revenge music, so that's your starting point, and from that you can probably figure out whether or not this is your cup of tea. I can only recommend this to fanatics only. I want to underline that this is not for most people. This is not a good release in the terms of being kind of a traditional review type of, when it comes to metal releases, but definitely interesting one, something totally different for people with different mindset. So there you have it. Go check out the samples and figure out for yourself. Thank you for watching. See you soon. Bye bye.